Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame and a spotlight interview with Coach Jerry Brock, and an honor to have him in studio. So some of these we get to do in studio, which is kind of cool. But we remind our listeners that the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame, Saturday, September 28th, it'll be at the Lafayette Hotel. Jerry Brock, one of 6 inductees going into this year's Hall of Fame group. And I'm going to start by jumping back to my high school years. I don't think there was soccer. I mean, I graduated in 81, and then I don't know exactly when it started, but I have a feeling you were there, right?
It started in 1985 in the high school. There was, soccer being played at a lower level prior to that, but that's the first year in the high school.
All right, so kind of go back. Like, what age were you then? What drove you to that? And then, obviously, it became a passion for you.
Well, the Y sort of started soccer in Marietta, but they didn't have a program for competitive. They didn't have a program for older kids, so they got the kids interested, and then there's no place for them to go. So we started some leagues. Started a league to give the kids a place to play, and then as they got older, it seemed right to go to the high school and encourage the high school to start a program, which I was instrumental in doing that. It started in 1985, found a coach. The next year they didn't have a coach. And I said to the athletic director, we better talk.
Meanwhile, then 14 seasons later, right, you get 9 conference championships, 8 sectional championships, 5 district championships, 2 SEOAL Coach of the Years, 2-time district Coach of the Year. So that was probably a pretty good talk to have, right?
Well, it turned out to be a lot of fun. And I did it because I had 4 boys, and several of them wanted to play and were playing in the high school, and that's why I got started. And then I got to having so much fun, I kept at it.
Well, that answers one of my other questions. Did you have fun, or was it a grind? I think it answers the fact that you did it for a decade plus. But how about this learning the game? Because you and I didn't grow up with the game.
No, I practically never even heard of it as a kid or a high school student or anything. So I knew nothing except what I watched. And, soccer isn't really big on X's and O's. It's a sort of a flow type thing. And other things seem to be more important. Teach them to have fun, teach them to be positive about themselves, get them in shape, learn to find the chemistry among them, those kind of things. And usually I was about 2 days ahead of them in the learning curve.
Right. That's interesting when you think about the motivational factor of all athletics as it relates to that. And then the honors. I know that's not something you jump up and down about, but your name's out there on the field as well. It should be, and well deserved. And now you're going to the Hall of Fame for the Marietta High School Athletic Association. Are you going to start signing HOF 24 at the end of your name?
I think not. I'm honored by it. It is pretty neat. I appreciate the honor. But it's not a big part of my life.
Talk a little bit about the phone call or who called or maybe who dropped the name that got the ball rolling on this one.
Well, Ryan Robinson, who was one of the better athletes I've had in those 14 years, nominated me, and Jim Humphrey on the committee called me to tell me about it. So.
That's a good segue into my thought as I do these interviews. You and I know each other more as friends than coach or business partners as we have been as well. But when you look back on players, and I've watched so many over the years doing games that I usually the ones rise to the top. You know, some of them, Scott Strahl or Bill Ross, I'm interviewing going into this year's induction ceremony. But are there names, a handful? I'm not asking you to give me those, but are there ones that really rise up in your head?
Well, there were a few that were exceptional athletes, and yeah, they rise up, and a few that were extra good scorers or extra good goalies. Somebody like Todd Morris, who was goalie for my team for several years, ended up now being coach for the last 20 years, and so those kind of names really jump out.
Absolutely. Jerry Brock is our guest, 2024 inductee into the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more with Coach Brock after this timeout. Johnny Wharf along with Coach Jerry Brock, Marietta High School Athletic inductee 2024. If we go back, I didn't really talk about like assistant coaches or mentors. I mean, even as a coach, you're still looking for advice from other folks, obviously.
Right. Well, usually those are parents, but some assistant coaches really stand out. C.J. Cunningham for several years, who had a couple sons that played, and Don Brown for several years, who had a couple sons that played, and they were both really good in helping and understanding the game and teaching the kids. So.
At some point along the way, you said, all right, 14 years is about enough. Let me turn the reins over, huh?
Well, I was in my early 60s and still, at that point in my life, pretty heavy in my law practice, and it seemed like 11:30 at night on a Saturday night, bouncing in a school bus in the middle of southeastern Ohio. It just got a little wearing. And I decided I didn't have the energy to do it right if I continued, and passed it on.
Yeah. Just a couple more questions as we hone in on our Spotlight Hall of Fame interview. Jerry Brock is our guest. Coach Jerry Brock, a longtime soccer coach and instrumental in the development of the soccer program. And that's kind of where I want to go with this question, is that when you look back, and certainly it's easy for me because I started the interview with the idea that A, I didn't follow soccer, B, there wasn't soccer in high school, and I didn't know much about it, nor, I guess, willing to learn about it. I do now because of this program in Marietta that started at a very young age and obviously has gone through the roof in terms of it. Go out there on any given soccer day and look at what's happening at Jerry Brock Field, and it is unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a great youth league that's a feed-in program. We have a great complex of soccer fields for the youth right next to the high school soccer program, and so it's a feed-in system that's better than most in southeast Ohio, and keeps us a strong competitor in our area.
Was that somewhat like watching a kid grow for you? I mean, you think about it, where it started and where it is now. That's a big kid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I take a little pride in being a part of that, and think it's still a super program for young people.
Jenny Lou ever get on that bus and make any of those trips with you?
Jenny Lou went to games sometime, often at home, and many times away, not on the bus, but drove separately. She supported me, and that's a whole lot.
Yeah. In the backyard, kicking the ball back and forth or not? Did you get much into that?
Nope.
Just coaching the game. I love it. Talk a little bit about who will present you. And that's something I think each of the Hall of Fame inductees have the opportunity to pick a presenter. So I just wanted to ask you about that in closing.
I think Ryan Robbins going to do that. So.
All right. And Ryan Robinson back, class of 05, I think. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that. But certainly there's another Hall of Famer for you as we continue to fill the hall at the Marietta High School Athletic Hall of Fame, and one of the 6 inductees going in this year, along with Tom Baker, Shauna Dougherty, Scott Strawler, Bill Ross Jr., and the late Bill Wetzel. Coach Jerry Brock, our guest here on this particular Spotlight interview. Congratulations. Big time to you. Thanks for the in-studio, and I'm going to give you the nickel tour here in a minute.
Great. Thanks, Johnny.